We don't have a microphone.
The microphone's integrated into the room.
We're in a soundproof room.
Yeah.
Wow.
So is everybody ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Cue the music. Cue the music.
Welcome along to the series finale of Is This 40, the podcast all about 5 lifelong friends who decide to take their friendship to a whole new level by forcing themselves to talk about the things they wouldn't normally talk about. My name's Michael Absalom, and this week the lads and I are test driving the new house studio recording facilities at 180 Soho House, just off the Strand in central London. It's a slightly different recording environment to what we're used to for this episode, with a camera in the room, so let's wait and see how that alters the dynamic. And on the agenda this evening, fun in our 40s. What might that look and sound like? And what other tangents might we go off on when we're forced to identify our own personal strengths and weaknesses? Will we be totally honest with each other, or will we try and deflect and avoid those tougher questions when we're put on the spot? It's been 18 months since we started out on our experimental podcast journey together, and it's been much, much tougher than I thought getting everyone into the same room at the same time. But we're finally here, the last episode of the series. We get the session started with a traditional round of gin and tonics, after which the conversation ricochets around the room in a predictably chaotic manner. Is this 40?
I don't know who's more excited.
I'm into it.
Or Jack.
We're both very excited. How's everyone?
There's a camera.
No, because it's the finale. It means Ab doesn't have to do
the
this
last
anymore.
one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that why there's so many notes?
Thank goodness. I just thought we'd wrap things up beautifully.
Can you just tell them, for whoever might be listening, how many pages of notes you've got?
7 pages of notes. But it's very specific. You have to sort of organise there's a little brief of what time we got here, welcome cocktails, all the different sessions divided up. And
So we're on to welcome cocktails and
part 1 actually.
session.
We're into part 1 now.
This is
Fantastic.
like wedding planning.
Well, it's also like TV planning and radio planning. If you plan a show, you have to have a structure.
Okay.
What's
all right.
funny is I think anyone listening to this podcast may think like it's the most unplanned, rough put together podcast.
Which is completely untrue.
No, look, it's masterminded
And
by
you've
Ab.
read the notes, haven't you?
Yeah, of course.
I'm going to start with a simple question. How are we all doing? How are we all feeling? How is everything? How's your week been?
Feeling pretty good. I mean, I'm pretty distracted with this, with the hairstyles in front of me on this little monitor that we're looking at.
There's some lockdown haircuts going on, although Jack says he's had his.
I've had mine cut.
Who cut it? Did you guys go to a proper barber?
Well, I've had it cut twice recently, actually.
You weren't happy with the first one?
Well, I went
That was
in.
the
I
experience,
went in
nothing.
saying I'm gonna grow it out, and could you just tidy it up a bit because it needs to be more kind of Bradley Cooper, Star Is Born.
Okay.
And then he did that, and it looked awful.
It was a bit undercutty.
It's terrible.
I'm championing the undercut. I quite like it. I'm sort of bringing undercut back.
I think it suits you. You look quite hipster.
Yeah. That's what I've
You
gone
do
for.
feel really edgy. Yeah.
And why the jacket?
I don't know. I just thought
Have you
season
borrowed
finale. No, I bought it from Reese actually. I spent quite a lot of money on it, and I've not had a reason. Whoa!
A friend of ours can get discounts at Reese.
Well, it's a long shot these days. It's a long shot.
Can't actually
Another
get
story, another time.
We have got some unresolved business from the last episode, which was Corby's special one-on-one episode. There was an unresolved doggy business. So what did you end up calling your dog in the end?
So, drum roll. I ended up calling the dog Chili. Hooray!
That was the front runner, wasn't it?
It was
Why did you call it chili?
because I was growing some chili plants, and it seemed like a good name for a dog.
It's quite
The other options were sort of tequila, which I didn't really fancy myself singing that in the park.
Bacante. Combine the two.
Yeah, Chili's cool. She's 8 months old, little Labrador pointer. Very beautiful.
She is beautiful.
She's a little bit highly strung and energetic.
And how
I
is
thought she
it?
was well behaved actually when I saw her. I met her last weekend.
And what did you think?
Really sweet. Does it get any bigger? Or is that as big as it
I
gets?
think it gets a tiny bit bigger. It's not huge.
No, you wouldn't want it any bigger. I think it's perfect.
It's a good size.
Short-legged Labrador.
It's a long-legged Labrador. I was very specific on getting
You're quite tall.
a
So.
long-legged Labrador.
I know what you're thinking. You can't use this. Is just too shit. You can't use any of this.
No, this is perfect. This is exactly what I want.
Your face was like.
I was being conscious not to talk over anyone. So you start a question and someone else is mid-question. You go, how's it?
I could hear you. I could hear you grinding your teeth.
No, it wasn't.
I wonder if they'll pick up on that on the audio.
I don't know. I just wanted to know what it was like being a dog owner and like how's it all going.
It's quite. She's quite demanding, so keeps me on my toes. And there was a little accident this morning.
What was the accident?
I think just timings, and there was a little present on the rug when we came down this morning.
I've got a dog. You don't want to ask me about mine?
No, no one's interested in
No,
your
because
dog.
the whole thing's going to be about dogs.
Yeah, dogs in our 40s.
But he has got a very pretty dog, and he's very proud of his dog.
Go on, tell us about your dog, Jack. No.
You have to wipe its bottom though. That's the only thing.
You wipe your own.
That's weird.
It's a fucking nightmare having a puppy. I was just waiting for you to be honest, going, we're on the same page here, right? So
But it replaced the duck. You said the duck was worse.
The duck left. There was a lot of tears from my wife when the duck left. The kids were fine.
Chinatown, right?
No, it went to a farm. Not probably in Chinatown now. It was still had a bit of growing to do. And then the next day went online searching, bought a puppy. Went to Durham to go and collect it. Brought it back on the train.
That sounds like a posh dog, doesn't it? The dog comes from
No,
Durham.
I got there because it's a bit cheaper than London.
Okay.
They're a bit.
They're quite dear though, especially when you got.
By the time you've done the train fare and brought it back and the cabs and everything else,
That's COVID prices.
And the injections.
the dogs are a fortune now. I'm sure they'll drop next
double,
year.
double the price, you told me.
More, about quadrupled.
What is it? What sort of dog is it?
Cockapoo, a kind of little brown apricot.
Very on trend.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, the duck was original, and the cockapoo, frankly, is a bit stereotypical. Midlife crisis, family with 3 kids.
It's not very manly dog, is it?
No.
But you've got to keep the family happy. Have you seen it?
I've seen it. It's very cute.
Anyway.
Actually. It's a really
It looks
nice.
a bit like your
It's got
hair.
the little curly, and it's sort of like this orangey ginger. What colour would you
Apricot
describe
is
as?
what it's
Apricot.
described as.
And, I mean, one shit on the rug, I'd take any day of the week. All the time, pal.
Topics covered so far have included suicide, divorce, parenting, life-limiting illnesses, family holidays, fatherhood, therapy, porn, lockdown anxiety, and future goals and
Porn?
expectations. Yeah, did you miss that? I think you missed that one.
God, I missed that one.
You're right, you weren't there for
That
that
was
one.
only me, Corbs and Jack.
It's brilliant, that one.
Yeah, that was really good.
Loved that one.
Yeah,
That was the best one.
yeah, you should listen back to that one.
He doesn't watch porn.
Yeah.
Ever.
That's a difficult one. No wonder I didn't turn up for that one.
Yeah. Anyway, so before we jump into fun in our 40s, which is what this episode is called, what I just thought we could do to bring the series together is just suggest any other things that men or anyone might struggle with, not necessarily whether they're in their 40s or not, things we struggle to talk about as mates. Is there anything we've missed that could make good content for another series perhaps, and what are those things specifically that men struggle to talk about with their mates and why?
Is the next series, is this 41 or is this 50?
Why is this 50's got a nicer ring to it? So you've got 10 years to think about this answer.
I think the fans want is this 41.
Well, we could make it a series about
Oh,
our
is that why
40s.
we're coming to the end of it? Because we're out of 40.
We're out of time.
I thought it was about our 40s.
It can be, if that's the way we want the
Or
show
is it
to
about
evolve.
turning for? What's the name of it?
It would have to
Turning
be a
40?
huge
Is this
demand.
40? What's the name of it?
Is this
We've only done 10
Sorry.
episodes.
Sorry, is this for? Oh, I didn't realise. I thought it was going to be,
And it's not necessarily a question, it's ... Is this 40? Could be an example. So it could be a
So-
statement.
Oh, I like the way you've explained it there.
If there's a call for more, we'll do more, of course, but there's probably not going to be a call for more, so I thought we'd just wrap
So
things
this
up.
could be the finale.
On to those tricky subjects we might have missed during the series then.
So what are those things that men struggle to talk about? I've got a list here, and if we're too shy to go through the list, I can just give you those examples.
Mental health and how you're really feeling, but did we cover that?
Yeah, I guess.
Every week.
Is there anything, Abs, that you,
By
with your
default.
list in front of you, think that we've not covered?
Well, I wrote down.
Unwittingly.
I put this in one of our little Instagram posts. I'm trying to find it there. It was, why do men start podcasts instead of going to therapy? was sort of like the statement and the question. But what I think we've had a good opportunity to do is sort of maybe in a slightly lighter humoured way and a bit more relaxed way over a couple of drinks, is to discuss some of, we've scraped the surface basically. There's definitely deeper issues. We've tried to keep it a little bit light-hearted and fun. But there are things in there that men don't necessarily talk about. That's why you probably didn't turn up for the porn one, is because of your addiction.
Oh, that's a bit rich. I can't remember. I must listen to that one this evening because, whatever you've said, I just know already it's a lie.
No, I was the only one telling the truth.
I will only tune in just to see how good you are at lying.
Your paranoia must be at like all-time low.
Right now?
No, I would just like the fact that we would have recorded a podcast without you about your favourite subject.
Oh, you did.
And you wouldn't even like listen in to see how it went.
Didn't he have COVID that
I
week?
don't know. No, I haven't. Did I?
Okay.
Was I away? I can't believe it. That wasn't the whole topic. The whole podcast wasn't about porn.
I think that was the second or third one. Was it? It was yours, wasn't it, Jack?
Because I would have loved, after admitting to watching porn, then you would go in. I want to hear how deep you went about your problem.
We drank a lot of wine.
Oh God, so it all did come out.
Oh, yes. And if, like Chris, you want to go back and have a listen to that episode, it's called The Boys Are Back in Town. Now, where were we?
We left it there with that tricky question of things that we struggle to talk about as men. On my list, I had things like death, suicide, love, truth, sexuality, family, illness, success, failure, trust. There's some pretty heavy ones in there. And what I didn't want to do tonight was sort of finish the series on something too heavy. So I thought we'd finish with fun in our 40s.
I think that's what people are looking for.
Desperate for, actually.
Particularly after the year we've had, though, as well.
Yeah.
We've got another gin and tonic on the way.
And if anyone thinks about breaking wind in here, that is rude.
It's
That's so rude.
it's very
I know it's
small.
crossed one of your minds.
How would you describe this? It feels for me a bit like it's Big Brother. It's a little bit
It's about
claustrophobic.
a 4 by 4 metre box, right?
Yeah.
No, less. About 3 by 3 metre box.
Yeah.
Padded.
Our box specialist here, Chris Lees, knows how to measure a box.
Could you put something like this together
Thank you.
in your architectural...
Moving on.
prowess?
2 very comfortable seats which Jack and Corbs are sitting in, and we have been put on 2 toadstools.
Yeah.
Why have you been relegated to the toadstools?
Because I was late.